Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable, ongoing reality. Hello, and welcome. Yes. Good evening, good Friday evening. And sorry we're a little late. We got a new green screen. And
someone's tailgating us.
And
we should get a steering wheel.
I know, right?
Sound effects.
And it fell. We had put this little sticky stuff, and earlier we heard it. So we tried fixing it, and it fell again.
Something was happening outside.
Yeah. Well, with all the strange things that have been happening outside.
Strange anomalous.
A lot of crazy.
But look.
We're here. Yeah, I know. Now we don't disappear. We figured like we have to get a green screen. So we did. We got a green screen that we kind of.
It's really ugly.
Yeah.
It's really ugly.
Yeah.
We wanted to leave it up.
Yeah. But
it's so ugly.
You can't leave
it's
it.
That pukey kind of color green that looks like it belongs. I don't know if you ever watched Romper Room. I know we're dating ourselves, but sort of like what the teacher would wear. Clothing.
But that at least it works with backgrounds, and we just have to take it down every time and put it up every time.
Hopefully that part
doesn't fall.
This side over.
Yeah. We tried to find a nail, and we couldn't find any nails. And it was like, but hey, it wasn't too bad. We started maybe a few minutes late, so that's not too bad. But anyway, we are glad to be here, and we're glad that those that will be watching later or watching tonight and joining us, and in this twilight zone. Seriously, I know that a lot of people, like I spoke to my mom yesterday, and people don't want to think about what's happening. They want to stick their heads in the ground like an ostrich. Is it the ostrich that does that? Yeah,
exactly.
And ostriches stick their heads in the ground, and they don't want to know what's going on. But something's going on. What it is exactly, I'm not quite sure. But something, they're lying to us. Things are being hidden.
Something is amiss.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going through stuff on my homepage on YouTube, and
always
something. There's never any good news. There's never any good news. It's like some dangerous planet, and they have this little thing. Because when we get to that section of the show, I'll discuss that in more detail. But what I do know is that they're lying, and they're not telling us the truth. And I don't know if people could handle the truth. That's the problem. Like the man on Tom Cruise said, "You can't handle the truth." Yeah. I mean, a lot of people can't. I'm ready for it. I've been ready since I was a kid. I mean, I've been having dreams about a bunch of UFOs coming in, and people are screaming and running, and I'm like, "Why are you running? They're friendly. They ain't gonna hurt you." But fear sells, and people like to be fearful.
You know that song? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Yeah.
Seems like that kind of actor's watching us.
Yeah. But, are you prepared is the name of the show, The Changing Mind
and what Universe. What is that guy supposed to be?
I don't know. I asked. I kind of like gave AI. I gave AI the title, and that's what it drew for me.
It's like a supervillain.
Yeah. And then there's other guys that you can't really see because our chairs are covering them. But yeah, it's
so you're missing out. I'll look behind there.
No, you can't see it either.
I can't see.
Thank you, Darren. Yeah, no. But anyway, a few weeks ago, someone wrote on one of the videos that they wanted for us to do a show on the Menendez brothers.
And this is how interactive we are.
Yeah.
We got working on it,
and
we're doing a show.
But it's not all about the Menendez
Oh,
brothers.
it's not?
No, it's not all. I just kind of like weaved it in, kind of like Trump does. He weaves things in.
It.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to weave
You're
it
doing
in.
a weave.
We're doing a weave. Because I think it's...
Are we weaving in or out?
A little bit of both. I think we're going to be going in and out and in and to the side.
Up and down.
Up and down. But here, let me... While we're at it, I'm sure you all know what the Menendez brothers look like, but just in case you don't, if you've been
good looking guys.
They were, and some of them really
like one was a model.
A model, yeah,
like,
total model. They didn't look so good looking there. They were kind of like, oh God, we got caught.
The actors.
Yeah.
Okay, so the actors were good
looking. Yeah, the real guys weren't that good looking.
I don't
think. But the actors, I mean, yeah. They were Cuban, right? I think they were.
Yeah.
Father was Cuban. Mother, I'm not sure if she was Cuban or not, but
yeah, the Cubans, they're prone to those kinds of psychoses.
Oh yeah, I guess so. But anyway, I didn't realize that's what that purple meant. It brings the purple. Oh,
what is what?
Like this thing here. Purple rain.
Oh.
Does that.
You're learning all kinds of tricks.
Green
screen, purple rain.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
That was a long. Because I can't remove it because that's the show thing. It's just acting weird. But anyway, let's hope that it just stops doing that and it doesn't do it again. Because we're going to talk about the Menendez brothers right now. The Menendez brothers story parallels the psychosis many humans seem to be going through. This is my own. Not that everyone's going to go kill their parents, but I think that there is something to this. The couple of generations that are living in the earth today do have some sort of like psychosis and the need to like run away from things, incapable of coping. They have really poor coping mechanisms. Thankfully, they don't all decide to go out and kill their parents. That would be very tragic. But the prosecutors painted the brothers as spoiled rich kids. I think there are many spoiled rich kids nowadays who killed their wealthy parents in their Beverly Hill mansion so they could access their $14 million fortune. They argued the duo methodically bought shotguns and fatally shot their parents a total of 13 times as the couple watched what is happening now. I think we got poltergeists.
What is that?
Oh, it's this. It's trying to advertise something.
Oh, sorry. We didn't disable the ads.
You can't.
But this portion of the show
is brought to you by
Hollywood Reporter.
But they shot their parents 13 times as the couple was watching TV.
And that documentary was pretty gruesome.
Yeah. Like
they did it premeditatedly and without any remorse whatsoever. It was brutal. Yeah, I'm going to take them off the screen just in case they create. I think we might have their dead parents upset or something. Yeah. And, we've had all sorts of weird things happening. But yeah, 13 times. That was not self-defense. No. One, twice. Shotgun, though? Shotgun. That's brutal.
Yeah,
It's like a shotgun has a bullet that does a lot of damage.
it does.
Just I'm not a ballistics expert or anything like that. Never was
Yeah,
one. But that's a big bullet.
it's pretty gruesome. I mean, you have to have a special kind of hate or a special kind of psychosis to want to harm somebody.
It was a big deal in Southern California when it was during that time. I mean, it was, there was another infamous crime that was committed around that time, that people, well, not around that time, was it? Yeah, it's like, it was 1993, I think. Was that the OJ thing?
I'm not sure.
I think the shooting was in 92, 93, something like that. So this happened before that, and it was pretty
brutal,
pretty bad. I mean, just it was always in the news, because I lived in Southern California where the crime was committed and stuff, and the murders happened, and you just couldn't change the channel without hearing about it, on the local news. And day 58, day 305, it was like, so they were they were convicted of murdering their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in 1989.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, you talk about OJ, he also it was gruesome what he did to Nicole.
Ronald Goldman.
Yeah. And then you look at Charles Manson during that time. All these murders that they committed. Yeah. But anyway, continuing the charges.
I did. Yeah.
Defense claims the brothers' defense argued that they killed their parents in self-defense 13 times shooting. It's not self-defense, claiming years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse by their father. Which, at first we believed it because we saw that little, was it like a docu-series that we watched? But at the end, they just created all that lies to try to get off.
And their prosecution, their defense lawyer she was well versed in getting her clients to tell this same story of, I was abused, I was, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
It was in self-defense. And there was a case that she had won, exonerating this kid who killed some people or something, and she was using the same tactics.
Two wrongs will make a right, and just because you were abused physically, emotionally, sexually doesn't give you the right to murder someone. And that, I mean, you could have all the reasons in the world, a battered wife doesn't have the right to premeditate, because this was premeditated to murder her husband. I could see in self-defense when you're in the struggle, where it's your life against the life of the other person.
Right,
But premeditated, no, I'm sorry, that just doesn't jive. I mean, the person should go to jail for it, but you don't get to murder someone.
No,
for abusing you. I mean, that's just wrong.
So the prosecution argued that the brothers were motivated by greed and a desire for their parents' wealth, which they spent a lot of money afterwards. Like, they didn't even think about it. They were buying all kinds of new cars, and they were buying clothes and watches and jewelry at the time, and all this bling and stuff, and they didn't seem
not a care in the world. It's like the younger brother had a little bit more of a conscience. That's why he sought help with his psychologist and confessed, because it was eating him up alive. I think the older brother was molesting the younger brother throughout, and that's how the whole psychological how they came up, I think, with that lie. And they watched something on television that was similar, that gave them the idea.
Oh no, it was like the brother had done some kind of screenplay with a friend of his in high school, that had something to do with killing your parents or something.
Something like that. They were writing, and then they wrote a screenplay or something of that nature.
This reminds me of like when I lived in Nashville. There was this kid in this family who just seemed like this average, normal kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, you know, I was a Christian at the time, and we would get together for these Sunday afternoon cell group meetings and stuff. And this kid was just like a really sweet, you know, nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I want you to see my newest video. And I was like, okay. I thought it was going to be like some cool something or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this bloody, gory, you know, like insane, like violent type, you know.
Watching too many violent cartoons
I was
as,
like,
a
what
kid.
in the world? I mean, you wouldn't expect it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know,
You wouldn't expect it.
nowadays I see a lot of that on Instagram. They like to pretend with this crossplay or whatever, and it's all bloody, and they get into all this. But this is what I'm talking about, that there's this form of psychosis, because I think this generation has had everything too easy. And, you know, when you're spoiled rotten, when you're given everything, you don't value things the way that you should value it. And you create, I think with all the movies and horror flicks and stuff like that, the mind is not equipped to deal with that. The nervous system isn't. So spoiled narcissists, some observers, including detective involved in the case, have suggested that the brothers exhibited traits of narcissism and entitlement due to their privileged upbringing. However, this is a complex issue with varying perspective. But I see that a lot. I see that a lot in today's youth. They expect it all. They don't have coping mechanism. It's a very different human from the human maybe 60 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the movie Wall Street. Remember the Tom Cruise, Michael Douglas does it,
Mm-hmm.
and how it was so cutthroat, and narcissism was like, that was like front and center.
Yeah,
you know, these personality traits and psychological traits that people embody these days, you know, thanks to social media and, you know, TikTok,
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
all that,
yeah.
and the rise of the selfie.
Yeah.
You know, because like when we were kids growing up, you never pointed a camera at yourself, because a camera pointed at yourself meant that you wouldn't be able to see how it was being framed. So you didn't want to waste your picture on, you know what I mean? Because back then, you know, you got a limited amount of pictures, you know, and a 35 millimeter camera, or like, you know, like a Polaroid was 10.
And
it was
the
10
other ones
pictures.
were 12,
110 was
24.
15.
There was one for 36.
There was a disc camera, remember?
Things have changed.
But the 35 millimeter cameras were 24.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't want to waste it.
No.
So you didn't like take pictures of yourself. That was like non-existent. And
it was family.
Yeah, it was family, it was nature.
And you were selective because it was expensive to get it.
And then you didn't want the wrong person to take a picture because Aunt Florina
would cut your head off all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's a different world.
Yeah. So I think that this whole modern social media phone camera,
it's created a narcissistic generational society that feels entitled and privileged. Yeah. Because I mean, face it, they don't have to go to the 1 hour photo, you know, to get their pictures developed, or you literally had to wait for like a week.
Or they could buy whatever they want on the whim of a button on a phone, you know, and it's everything is instant and it comes to you. It's so
like Amazon delivers to you next day, sometimes the same day.
I mean, it's there's always instant gratification. There's no gratefulness for anything. And that creates a nervous system that's very fragile, a nervous system that could snap. And then with all these movies about people being murdered and whatever, the mind gets all this information that is not good.
I remember I was doing a project at a like a wayward boys home or something, a Christian video series, and we were there, and the guy, it was probably 2010 or something like that. So it's before it got really big, because Facebook had just become, mainstream, and everybody was getting on it right after the MySpace craze. So this guy who works with these kids, he was like saying how he felt that in the future years, and this was like a harbinger prophecy, because he was like, information is flowing. I read, he said, like 1 million new things are discovered every day because of the internet. And it's like all this information that kids are getting now that they never got before. Because before, I mean, you literally had to go to your feeble, if you were a kid that had a family with a little bit of money, you got an encyclopedia set, or you were able to go to the
library,
bookmobile, or the library to read. But
little index cards trying to find.
We were like on the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, it's like the brain took information in slowly. Now it's excessive, and people don't realize what it does to the nervous system. If you understood how your dendrites in your brain, how it all works, you understand that you're waterboarding your brain. And you may not feel it now, but as you get older, that's why people are getting dementia, Alzheimer's, all sorts of neurological impairments, psychosis, anxiety, I mean, you name it. And some people murder their parents.
But you notice it like in the conversation style of some of the youth. They make these videos, and the jump cut in television editing was always a big no-no. It was like that whole thing about like having a run-on sentence and then speaking, and then you cut it, and then it's like another run-on sentence. You could see it like even some of the early what's her name? Gigi Gorgeous videos.
Oh gosh, yeah.
She used to do these videos, makeup tutorials and stuff, and she would like cut.
Yeah, little fragments,
and it was like, it wasn't like a fluid conversational tone. And I think that's how it seems like a lot of kids speak today. And you look at something like TikTok or something, and you just open it and you go scrolling, and it goes from one video to another video to another video, and they're just all talking, dancing, talking, moving around and telling jokes. A little video. I mean, it's like everything, and like, and your brain is like,
and that's not healthy. That's not good. So I think important note.
So it's crucial to remember that this is a highly controversial case with differing interpretations of the evidence and the brothers' motivations. They were still, up until even last year, looking for getting paroled. And the district attorney in Southern California, in Los Angeles, Garcetti, he was on the side of them, so.
When I was looking for information, I read something that one of them may get released. I don't know. I didn't really look into it that greatly. But anyway, I mean, it's just a very unfortunate situation. Good parents. I believe the parents are very good, sometimes too good. And I think that's a problem. When parents are these helicopter parents, they're always like concerned about the kids and making sure that everything's okay, not allowing the kids to deal with, coping. They don't learn how to deal with life, and they either run away, they have adult temper tantrums, or teen temper tantrums, and they're not as equipped as human beings were being raised 50, 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're really dealing with a totally different generation.
Well, I don't know 200 years ago because I don't know if anybody was here back then.
And that's true.
Even.
I mean,
That's another topic.
Well, we've been kind of dabbling in that, that, you know, that the old world buildings, we didn't build that.
Right.
There's just no way. No way we did. So
I was like looking at a picture of the U.S. Capitol.
yeah. It's like,
and I'm like looking at it.
you think your horse was able to lug that around?
I mean,
in the muddy
they had
streets?
these roads where, I mean, if it rained or snowed,
there was mud, pure mud.
it was like the wagon wheel was buried.
Yeah.
You know, according to, they didn't have a bulldozer.
They didn't have any machinery. They didn't have the power
truck.
tools.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So
just
you look at the
put that
rotunda
in
of the
order.
Capitol, you look at that whole facade of that stately looking Roman
castle-looking things. Some of these, like even where the Pope, the Vatican thing. I mean, really, we didn't build that.
Yeah.
We didn't build that, and that, you know, that's going to tie in to what we're going to talk.
going to even get up there?
I know.
How would even?
I know.
Did they have a ladder that went up?
I don't think
there?
so. I really don't think so. But you know, we're just little sheeples.
I think he was literally like
elevated.
He had a technology where he knew how to lift himself up.
They levitated themselves. They had all sorts of
Yeah.
that species, that race that lived during that time. Their DNA was working. Our DNA has been disabled and we're dumbed down. And, you know.
Well, we're down to 2 strands.
Yeah, we're down.
There's
so,
12.
Yeah, so you know, they meaning the, I'd like to say reptilian race, whatever, you know, the ones that are running the show right now didn't want us to be as elevated. So the latest generation have been given too much too soon, not allowing the coping mechanisms to develop. The need to run away from things, remove whatever gets in their way, seems to be a rising attribute. Like I said, not everyone decides to off their parents. But you know what? We're seeing a lot of these like school shootings, like just a couple of days ago in a Christian school. Young girl just went haywire.
I wonder if Matt Walsh did a show on the young girl that.
Oh yeah, they did the show. Yeah, probably not. You know, and she was white and Christian, and you know, it's like.
And her dad took her to a gun.
Yeah, and he was all proud of her, and you know, but you know, we don't seem to understand, you know, that they want to blame all the immigrants and people of color and Hispanics, and you know, we're the troublemaker, according.
Yes.
But you know, I don't see too many serial killers out there that you know that fall into that immigrant category, but I digress. So
the complexities of trauma, the impact of abuse is multifaceted and can manifest in various ways, including PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, dissociative disorders, and difficulty in forming healthy relationships.
Now, we see a lot of these disorders nowadays. I mean, it's depression, anxiety. I mean, a lot of the kids nowadays are very anxious. The young adults are very anxious. Substance abuse is something that's all over in all age groups now. Dissociative disorder, you know, which I believe that when we have that massive influx of people thinking that they were trans and that if they magically changed who they are into crossing from one gender to another, that their problems are going to go away. They had difficulty making relationships with their parents. I think there was a miscommunication, and you know, obviously that didn't turn out too well because, you know, we will be talking about in a little bit, a lot of these detransitioners that are now blaming everybody but themselves. Right. Don't realize that the problem was a premorbid condition. They just now blame the transitioning and blaming people that so-called push them to transition,
Yeah.
which I find to be very offensive. Important consideration: seeking professional help. If you or someone you know has experienced abuse, it's crucial to seek professional help from a therapist or counselor specializing in trauma. It doesn't just go away. You need to, whether some spiritual work needs to be done, not Christianity. You need to speak to someone who is well versed in trauma, because childhood trauma is not something that just goes away. It will haunt you for the rest of your life unless you actually deal with it. Dealing with it may be having exposed yourself, like reliving it mentally, not actually, but like role play with a therapist or something where you handle the situation differently and in a more empowered way.
Understanding abuse. It's essential to understand that abuse is never the victim's fault and that there are resources available for support and healing.
Now, I want to say, okay, that I don't believe anyone's a victim. I believe that ultimately, I think that we all have choices in life, and we may encounter situations where we may be victimized by someone. But in the end, how you handle that situation, how you heal from that situation is what's important.
Sure.
So, disclaimer: the information is for general knowledge and discussion purposes only and does not constitute professional, medical, or psychological advice. I think everyone handles stress, trauma differently. Some people have, a little more thick skin compared to others. Some people drown in a glass of water. Other people rise to the occasion. Other people thrive under pressure, and they grow and learn. Other people just fall apart. And I think that we're going to talk a little bit about desisters and detransitioners. And I think the fabulous 10, I'd say at least around 10 of them, 15 that continue to be seeking attention. Mm-hmm. Even though years have passed by, a couple that we're going to mention right now, it's been like 5 years or something like that, but they're still, they're still wanting to talk about it, and put blame on others. There's one on Twitter, Watson, dealing with alcohol abuse, keeps falling off the wagon, continues to blame transition, where I believe that they were a drinker before they transitioned. Everything that's wrong in her life is because she transitioned. And now she detransitions, brings
still has problems,
still brings all her drama to the Twitter account, constantly like nagging and pointing fingers and how horrible this is. It's like, look, there's a few people, maybe 100, 200 max. How many transitioners are there? A lot more transitioners than there are detransitioners. A lot more people are happy and satisfied with their transition than they're not. This is not for everyone. Okay, so
the lack of concrete identities and the need to identify or copy what others are going through is a byproduct of the timeline we're living in. The inability to follow through with our original plans, as in detransitioning, changing one's mind too often, needing to obsess over material goods, is a psychosis of the mind. Chemically, alterations occurring on our in our fragmentation thought process that have been altered by quantum fragment.
Now that's a mouthful, so I'm going to break this down. So you see individuals that all of a sudden saw their friends transitioning and saw their friends getting attention for what they were doing. So they're like, oh, I'm trans too, right? And they all just amongst themselves, camaraderie of doing it, like monkey see, monkey do. And that's one thing about social media. People see something and they all want to do it, talk about it, engage in it. So we see that they started something. It didn't quite turn out the way that they wanted. A lot of them wanted to look like one of the boy bands, I don't know, Justin Timberland, and it was like a Peter Pan type of thing, because they weren't really going for that manly look. They were going for this cute boy type of thing, and it didn't pan out somehow, some way. So automatically shift, and they now no longer in the trans train. Now we're in the detrans train. It's something that needs to really be looked at for what it is. Medical professionals shouldn't be the one taking the blame. Other trans people shouldn't be the one taking the blame, because there are people that genuinely, are trans and, live their lives and are happy ever after. Now, I want to share. Let's see here. Share screen. This is, I think they're the ones that won that case in Tavistock in England or something. Mm-hmm. So detransitioners continue to push anti-trans rhetoric, which has created this anti-trans narrative. I don't think we've been this anti-trans even before people knew what trans was, because people were curious, they weren't sure about it, but it wasn't this witch hunt. It's time to show the truth behind it all. Your issues don't stem from transition. Premorbidity issues are to blame. So we got Kira Bell, and I'm sure many of you have heard of her. She writes on her Twitter account, because they all use this Twitter account to just talk bad about the trans community. I wouldn't care, if they shared their story. Look what happened to me. It was unfortunate, but it's like they twist it, they turn it, and they create an attack on the trans community. So go ahead and read it.
What's TIFF?
TIFF's journey. Trans
identified
females. Yeah.
The trans-identified female, TIFF's journey with testosterone or even removing your breasts may start out great. You may even go the whole way. Then the exciting feeling begins to dissipate. The head hair falls out. Serious health issues appear. Some double down. Others fade into the distance. Sad.
Now I went ahead and I had to say something, because, you get all these, a majority of people that respond to detransitioners are all on board. They're Christians. They're like rad femmes, they're all, you go girl, you do them. So I find it that it's important to go into that fire and, kind of engage. I said, health issues, exciting feelings. Did you go on an adventure, or did you transition to align yourself? Because they make it sound like it's something like, I'm going to go on a ride, and, it's going to take me throughout the world. And it's like, no, I mean, what did you do this for? It's been 25 years for me, and I would do it all over again. And I know I had my bouts with detransitioning, and a lot of that was A, still wanting acceptance from my mom, and B, religiosity. Sure. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of like, I'm doing something wrong here. But thankfully all that has passed. Never to do it again. And it's been now, when was the time that I retransitioned? 2021, when we got back together again in July. You were in Washington, and I was here in Arizona. And, not an itch, not a thought, not a whatever. It's like, whew, I'm glad I went through it, because it taught me a lot. Yeah. But never again. So then this person says, read this Ariel Low.
There are a few for whom it seems to work. Buck Angel, Stephen Whittle, for example, how do they avoid the really bad side effects of testosterone on the female body?
And I answered the person, I said, there are more than just a few it works for. It's more like a few it doesn't work for because they had no business transitioning. I'm 62-year-old and transitioned in 2003. I myself detransitioned to only retransition, happier than ever. Healthy, happy, it works, no doubt. Now, I had, she had said something about right here.
Kira writes, I wonder what you mean by work, quote unquote, as in they have continued or as in they don't speak very openly about the issues that do always arise.
And I said, what issues arise? You mean issues you start off with, like mental instability before you even transition, poor diet, drinking, lack of self-esteem and self-worth? Transitioning is not to blame for that. Transition is not a solution to your old problems. It's a choice to enhance yourself, to align yourself with whom you truly are. I mean, and I think a lot of these people, when they transitioned, they thought that they were going to solve some sort of problem, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if they had any issues that were tough to face and stuff like that, maybe they thought that they had finally found the elixir that was going to cure them of all their ailments, you know, and they look at transitioning as literally being like the fountain of youth or something. Yeah. And it's like, do you realize that if you had a problem before with depression, it just doesn't magically disappear when you decide that you want to align yourself with living a life that you feel most comfortable, the gender that you wish to represent.
And if you had health issues, you know, beginning the journey, or you're predisposed to heart problems, or you're predisposed to psychotic behavior, and you put in hormones, then of course that's not going to work very well for you. So you need to make sure, you know, that you're healthy, and then you need to lead a healthy lifestyle. Like a lot of trans people drink, smoke, do drugs, eat horribly. Of course you can have problems. The average Joe on the street that don't transition and they do all those things have problems.
I mean, an FTM who's on way too much testosterone is literally living with more estrogen than if they had remained living as a female.
Because your estrogen level goes up, the more testosterone you put in your body. I used to have a friend, an FTM friend, and his estradiol levels were always to the roof. Mm-hmm. And he even had a hysterectomy, and still, because his body converted. I mean, some people, their testosterone levels, if they're high, converts into estrogen, you know, and so.
And I mean, and for a trans woman, more estrogen doesn't literally mean that you're going to feminize more.
No.
It literally means that your body might produce more testosterone.
Yeah.
Because it's a rebounding effect.
Yeah. And
as you age too.
And the fact that estradiol in excess creates receptors in your breast in certain areas that will cause problems, like a lot of C, you know, what we're talking about, you know, the disorder that 1 out of 2 people are getting nowadays, because everything's so estrogenic in our food supply and our water supply, and, you know, the chemicals that we breathe. So, you know, you're just asking for trouble. You got to know what you're doing, and not just rely on your healthcare provider, because they're not magicians. They don't know it all. You got to do your homework.
But I think what happens is, where these detransitioners go wrong is that they make everything into like this. It happens to everyone. Like everything that's going to take place, it doesn't just happen to a few. It happens to everyone. If you're going to be on T, expect to be having these problems. You know, I mean, it's like, testosterone has its risks, but it also has its rewards.
Yeah.
So you need to navigate those waters in a way that you are informed, in a way that you know what it is that you're going to be doing to yourself, and allowing yourself to realize that this isn't going to be a magical pill that's going to fix all your problems. Testosterone, it may exacerbate it.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
and
any
if
medication.
you're mentally unstable,
Yeah.
if you're prone to depression,
Every medication has secondary side effects. You hear it in commercials. And the reason is because it's synthetics. Your body only knows what's natural. You put synthetic types of food in your body's going to react, and you might get some weird fungus among us. You know, you take certain medication, there's always going to be ramifications. I mean, these are, and they tell you. So when they say, no one told me, that's a lie. Because even when you go fill your prescription, the pharmacist always asks, do you need some information on this? Because there's always a list a mile long of side effects. There's side effects in every medication that you take. Everything. You may not get them all, but you might get a few. So you have to educate yourself, and you have to do damage control.
Yeah.
You know, that's a given. So here's another one. I think many of you have heard of Ellie Palmer. Ellie was dormant for a little bit, but not only did she take on the hobby of eating more than she needs to, she also now is in cahoots with the Christians.
oh yes,
And she's telling her story yet again. It's not like she didn't tell her story 5 years ago. She's telling her story again. She got into this big argument with her parents because her parents didn't want her to do that because they knew they were going to use her as, you know, a tool to go against the trans community and to attack. And she knew that, you know, the conservatives and the Christians were going to go at it. And sure enough, she's all, you know, all emotional about speaking out and doing her story and going on these like conferences. And
well, you know, these people have deep pockets. I mean,
Yeah.
you know from personal
yeah.
experience, they have deep pockets. They will take whatever they can get
Mhm.
from a detransitioner, the person that they consider to be a valuable asset to their cause.
Yeah.
And they will invest in that person.
Of
They will,
course.
you know, that's why we have the term grifter, because
Mhm.
literally they grift off of these larger organizations, like,
Totally.
you know, like Focus on the Family or
Heritage Foundation.
or whatever. And it's like,
And right now, you know, they were used as a big tool during the presidential campaign where everybody's all angry about trans people and trans women in sports. And I mean, they've just, you know, and with the children, and it's been used as a weapon against trans people, and it sells. And like,
and Ellie seems to have lost all of her hair. I mean, she said, you lose your, Carabelle said, you lose all your hair.
and Ellie has more
Ellie
hair
has
than
more hair
than
than-
she could handle.
Yeah.
But she found Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, she found
Make
Jesus.
Jesus first
again.
Oh my gosh.
And her
That's
parents are not at all.
yeah.
So I think I heard that her parents kind of like this own her because she's gone on this. It's like Blair White is also turning Christian, you know? I mean, and they're all MAGA, you know, and she's hanging out with our favorite Chloe there. And I'm trying to find here. Oh, and they all end up wanting to become 13 again. And
Yeah.
They got a little skirt. And that's what Chloe was doing for a while there. But I'm trying to find, it should be coming up next. She got baptized.
Oh, yes.
Baptized. I mean, December 15, she got baptized. Right there. That's just, you know, for
Following
someone,
the programming.
yeah, it's a programming. I know it too well. Yeah.
And they give you purpose.
Yeah,
They
it gives
give
you purpose. It gives you attention, the same attention they were seeking when they were
she's in
transitioning.
Phoenix.
Yeah, that's where that event was. And I guess they, got baptized there and here in Phoenix. Yeah.
And they had a Trump rally.
And
all
at
at the same
all
time.
at the same time.
That's
All
cool.
at the same time. But, I find that it's the same narrative. The same narrative, the same playbook.
Of course. It's going to be the same playbook. There is no other playbook.
No.
That's the playbook that they have. And that's quite honestly, it's what works.
Of course.
You're not going to do something different if you know that what you're doing works.
Yeah. And, the violin of life, look what was done to me, never taking responsibility. Like, you literally told your parents that you were going to off yourself if you didn't get to transition. And that's the line the majority of them used.
Oh, for sure. They bank on that line being the impetus for them getting what they want. And again, we go back to that sense of entitlement.
That's why I call it the Menendez
narcissistic behavior.
Yeah, and that's why I call it the Menendez syndrome. And it's like not everyone goes and destroys their parents, but they want to destroy something else. They're like wanting, because literally, if you read Twitter and you read these detransitioners' wall, they're always attacking the trans community, always blaming the medical community, always. It's just like Abel Garcia, all of them nonstop. And it's like, look, point your finger at yourself. You had issues and you fell into the trans thing. And now you want to blame the trans thing for all your woes. Your woes have always been there. Now they're just a little different because now you did something to your body. You did something to your body. Nobody else did it to you. You did it to yourself. And, it's that the truth has to come out because, you can't continue the same line and to the point where it's hurting the trans community greatly.
Yeah, it is.
What did Trump run on besides they're eating your cats and dogs? It was all about, we're not going to allow the trans community in the military. We're going to make sure that your children aren't taught this. It's like, no one's teaching your children anything. If your children's going to be gay or trans, they're going to be that way. No one's got to teach them. They're just trying to help your kids deal with the fact that they know that you at home are not listening to them. You're not allowing them to be themselves. So it's like, it's a refuge. It's like, hey, you're okay being who you are. Many of us who grew up, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, we didn't have that. So we had to hide it. And it was very painful because we had no allies. So the schools are being allies to your children because they know what you're doing to them,
There was a beautiful scene in a movie in a series that we watched. It was having to do with the island of La Palma and the volcanic eruption potential. But one of the lead characters in the series, she's like maybe 17 or 18 years old, and she has always been a lesbian, but she was ashamed of it and stuff. And so her mom found out that she was interested in this one girl, and then she felt so like she did something wrong. And the parents, so she thought she was going to get scolded for liking the girl that she liked, and the mom just opened up to her and said, I love you.
Yeah.
I accept you. I accept who you are.
Yeah.
I accept everything about you.
Very few parents do that.
And that's a beautiful trait to see depicted.
And very few parents do that. And that's why I think schools have stepped up. There was this teacher the other day, they got in trouble because he had this assignment where he was having people come out, just like role play so they can know how gay people feel. Oh, goodness gracious. The parents had a fit and they tried to get him fired. It's like, listen, people in the LGBTQ community, we exist. We're not going anywhere. We're not trying to recruit. This is not some sort of market level, what is it called? Multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
You know, trying to be helpful because your children are not being listened to, especially not by you, the parent that's conservative, that's Christian, that worries so much about what other people think. How can I have a gay child? How can I have a trans child? Well, you do.
Being all ashamed of them.
Yeah, you do. And it's like, if you're not going to be accepting and loving, your kid needs acceptance. They need to be validated. They need to know that they're okay being who they are. This whole anti-LGBTQ has got to end. You know, it's got to end. So
we're changing topics.
We're changing topic
Going
now. That was from
the detransitioners
Menendez to changes in known reality. Now, we haven't been living in a hole. We've seen all the things that they've been reporting in the sky, the orbs, the what do they call it now?
UAPs.
UAPs. Because everything changes. No longer UFOs. Now it's UAPs.
Unidentified aerial
phenomenon. And the disclosure thing. So a lot has happened. There's this guy called Clif High. He's a futurist and an author who has discussed potential scenarios surrounding alien contact and their societal implication. He also predicted that these phenomenon things that we're seeing in the air was going to take place, especially after, was it Rogan and Trump had, it was going to be 39 days or 36 days after that interview that we were going to start seeing these things. And exactly at that time is when we started seeing these things.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I don't know. Planned? I don't know. There's a lot of theories around this. Is it the government? Is it the actual aliens? Is there true disclosure happening? Is there a disclosure that's going to happen, but it's controlled? It's going to be instilled with fear. Right now, we're in a precipice, and we could either go either way depending on how we humans handle the situation. My advice is we can't have fear. Be excited about it because our world's about to change, and it's a good thing. So let's go into this. What Clif High has said.
Societal upheaval. He believes that contact with an advanced extraterrestrial civilization could lead to significant societal upheaval, potentially challenging fundamental beliefs and power structures. He draws parallels to historical encounters between civilizations with vastly different technological levels, often resulting in subjugation or cultural collapse.
And if we look at history, the real history, not the history that we've been painted, we see a lot of that that's taken place. I mean, you look at some of the indigenous drawings, a lot of those hieroglyphics, and the caves and all that stuff, and they literally draw spacecrafts. Petroglyphs, yeah, and they draw spacecrafts, and they draw these like little, like, I guess, aliens and different things, and these world, like portal. They do a lot of the whole portal drawings and stuff like that.
But I think he was talking about like when the Spaniards came to the New World and they encountered a race of indigenous people who were living supposedly very different lives, and they were taken over by a technologically advanced species of human that overtook them, you know. So they're saying that these potential alien encounters, that we're the version of the indigenous that were encountered by the technologically advanced society, you know, and that like now we're kind of like at the same place because we don't have nearly the near amount of technology and understanding of the cosmos as they do.
Yeah.
So they come across as being way more powerful.
Yeah, and they are. They're more technologically advanced because I think we've been dumbed down as a species. So loss of control. The introduction of superior technology could disrupt existing systems and potentially lead to a loss of control for humanity. High suggests this could manifest in various ways, such as economic instability, social unrest, and even the emergence of new forms of governance.
Reevaluation of existence. Contact with extraterrestrial life could force humanity to reevaluate its place in the universe and its understanding of existence. This could lead to profound philosophical and spiritual shifts, potentially altering our worldview and values. Like, find out that, we're not the only ones here, and the Bible teaches we're the only ones here, and that's going to be really disruptive for millions of people. They won't know what to do with that information. Like,
Yeah, well,
but I thought you came to save the world.
The Jesus story, the whole Adam and Eve story, all that goes down the toilet, which is the concern because a lot of people will not be able to handle that kind of truth.
Right.
Because they've been raised from a very young age to believe that once upon a time story, the biblical story, they've been taught that we are the only ones in the universe. And, it would literally turn their world upside down.
It would cause them to lose sight of what it is that they believe in at all.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
And then the whole system would collapse. I mean, this whole system of monetary system that we've built, conquer and destroy and go in and take the land and do,
but what if you realize that you can't dominate people anymore because they have access to their own means of transportation or production of anything they want,
to create. They won't need a computer because you have the capacity to be your own computer, to be able to do things beyond your imagination. Right now, you think everything has to be outside of you, but there were times when these other cultures and civilization were capable of being their own internet. We watched a documentary about these indigenous people who literally from the time they were little, they would not let them go outside, and they would in their hut literally know what was happening. They tapped into some sort of neuronal system that was like the internet, and that's something that we're capable of, but we've been dumbed down. So here's some highlights. Clif discusses a big league mistake, quote unquote, involving alien contact and technology. There's technology that is man-made, and there's the true alien technology. I think the fight right now is those that control us want to dominate the narrative. They want to instill the alien badge. You see all the movies that we watch about aliens, they all look the same, these little black-looking critters that just eat your face off. And, and it's do you think if they wanted to hurt us, we'd be walking around the way we are now? They're much more advanced. They think that we are the most warring and violent beings around. So,
Societal reactions to superior civilizations may mirror historical encounters.
The potential for culture upheaval and loss of established beliefs is explored.
Concerns about the impact of UFO sightings on public perception and mental health.
A lot of people really, there are people as we speak with all the stuff that's been going on that they're scared because they don't know how to handle. They need to understand that these things aren't here to hurt you. If they did, you'd be gone by now. The idea of breakaway civilization and its challenge is introduced.
Clif emphasizes the importance of living in the present to cope with the change.
Yeah, living in the now instead of worrying about yesterday or tomorrow. The silver lining exists in the form of new opportunities for humanity as alien contact unfolds. Just thinking about how they would be able to teach us how to reconnect with our health, because we have the capacity to be able to keep ourselves healthy. So there are many things that they could teach us, that would help, just like they did back in the old days when they talk about the Watchers and the how is that the name, I don't want to use the word fallen because that always has a negative connotation, but they taught us so many things, and I think that's how we were able to build those beautiful buildings, and, that we've forgotten how to do.
So some key insights are the cultural disruption. The arrival of superior technology can lead to societal degradation, as seen in historical encounters between indigenous populations and colonizers. The cycle repeats throughout history, suggesting that current societies may similarly struggle to adapt.
Yeah. Mental health impact. Many individuals may experience depression and anxiety as they grapple with the implications of alien contact, leading to a breakdown of societal structures and an increase in escapism through drugs or other means. And that seems to be an MO with humanity. They can't deal with something, they're going to drink themselves to oblivion, they're going to take, recreational drugs. I mean, instead of like really understanding and dealing with it, they try to run away from it.
And the government is always proactive with these matters, and government control, the presence of drones and potential government actions surrounding them could indicate a deeper strategy to manage public perception regarding alien contact and technology.
And I truly believe that a lot of these drones that are out there, they are the governments. They're not telling you they are, because they encounter orbs, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Shift in belief systems. Established religions may face significant challenges as the reality of extraterrestrial life contradicts traditional teachings, potentially leading to a new religious movement or philosophy. So that would mean that they would no longer be on top of the pyramid and they would have control. And we know that they don't want that.
Breakaway civilization dynamics. The concept of a breakaway civilization suggests that hidden technologies and societies may influence current events as they seek to reestablish control and societal changes.
Living in the now. Clif emphasizes the necessity of grounding oneself in the present moment to navigate the impending changes and emotional turmoil that may arise from societal shift, such as meditation, manifestation, being present, learning how to be present when you do things, you're washing dishes, cleaning the house, whatever it is, be mindful, be present.
Hope amidst chaos. Despite potential chaos, a sense of hope may emerge as humanity confronts these challenges, leading to new opportunities and advancements in understanding and technology.
I think that it really, because right now the technology that we have is very self-serving, right? It really doesn't do much for our health. And as a matter of fact, I think since all this you spoke about in the beginning, social media has degraded the minds of a lot of people. Like, I think the technology that they would bring to us would be something that would be helpful. It would give us something. It'd be a lot. It wouldn't be for the greed and the money and the control that the corporations have on it. It would be freeing and teaching how to have better health, how to take care of your temple, and maybe expand our lifespan, where we'd be able to live maybe 200, 300 years. That's just like in the older times when people lived to 900 years and so, So, wanted to share. Let me do this here. Stop it for a second. So I don't know if you guys have heard, and I'm not sure how true it is or if it's a hoax, but there's been these, TikTok videos and YouTube videos. And there's this one here I'm going to share a little bit of where you have these flickering lights all over the United States. It was Tennessee, What other areas? There was like a whole bunch. I mean, just random. I'm just gonna fast forward here so you guys could see some of it. I mean, just weird lights. Google flickering lights. Now, people don't know if it's from drones that have caused this. My theory is that these UAPs, when they get near our atmosphere, they whack, it's like electricity. It's a very different frequency. So my theory is that they literally, I mean, you look at all these cars and lights and things constantly flickering, coming off, on and off. I'll put the link so you guys could hear the audio and all that with it, but I find it bizarre. I mean, Lena seems to think that anybody could make a video and doing that, but I think there's something to that. I think literally, again, my theory is, when you have, think about it, when you have something out of this world that the frequency is totally different from our frequency, and they come near our planet, you're going to get that kind of distortion, but I believe in UFOs from the time I was a kid. But let us know what you guys think, or anyone on chat, if you want to chime in on what you think these things are. And then, I mean, what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the things that people are putting up on social media are outrageously just doctored, and things are done in a manner to get views and to incite, people to be in fear. And, I take so much of this with a grain of salt, because I don't necessarily see like people being honest and doing these things. I think they do it for attention.
I think some people may, but I think that there are a lot of, like, when they started getting orbs, for instance, an orb is not the same as a drone. And my theory is these orbs started to appear, and all of a sudden the military went out with the drones. There's, what's that other theory? That's some radiation. What is it that they were saying?
They're looking for our WMD.
Yeah, and it went missing, which I find that virtually impossible. How do you lose? Was it like a radiation bomb or something like that? I mean, something that's highly classified and protected, you just don't lose. So I think they're really trying to hide.
I honestly don't know what's happening. I mean, we were coming home the other day from the theater, and we saw these really crazy looking lights in the sky, like 3 or 4 lights that were parked, in the sky somewhere, and it was not normal.
No, I know,
but I just don't know. I don't know if,
this one here, because orbs overreact to hearing Jesus. I mean, Christians always try to monopolize on. This is the one that I was seeing. The ABC warns Americans about dangerous planet in the sky, and it looked like that kind of orby looking thing. Yeah. It's kind of like when you look in a microscope and you look at a cell, and the cell has all that movement. But yeah, if you put in on YouTube, there's so many videos.
I know, that's the problem.
Well, but I mean, that's the thing.
That's the problem. People are just capitalizing on it right now.
Yeah, this is the first
one. Let's put orb up there.
Yeah,
let's put drone up there. Add it to the title. Say that I'm seeing something weird in the sky. It's like a free for all.
Yeah, was the one.
And that's just YouTube. Not to mention
this one is interesting to me though. ABC warns American about dangerous planet, and that's the guy who was always on regarding the election. Yeah. Now he's talking about dangerous planet. ABC is talking about dangerous planet in the sky. Okay. So, I mean, who knows? Something's up. What it is exactly, I don't know. But I think we're going to be in for for a ride. I really do. I mean, I find things, like things just doesn't seem right. Something's up because the government's telling us, oh no, there's nothing. And when the government tells you, oh no, there's nothing, then you know there's something. What it is, I don't know. I could speculate. I think that we'll experience what has been experienced in past history out of this world encounters. Believe what you may, but I think we are. And
Mark and I obviously don't have the same opinions when it comes to this kind of thing. And that's what makes the world a great place to live in, is that we can have different opinions. But I think more along the lines of being a skeptic with these things, and I just feel like there's just not enough good concrete evidence out there that, I mean, people like doing TV shows where they say that literally an alien, a couple of aliens, male and a female, are sitting in their studios and they're actually predicting, and they're talking about how they're telepathically communicating. I just think I can't honestly put myself into like being legitimately trusting of such a
well, of course, there's always going to be
conversation.
There's going to be people that take advantage of things. There are going to be people
are going hog wild crazy right now over this, and there's whole channels that are growing from this craze right now, and they're looking to monetize. And honestly, I see a lot of these people that are on here, these alien encounter people that are like, we're the only ones who know, and we're the ones that the alien has told that we are the representatives, and you have to subscribe to our channel.
It's like the New Age
for our
movement.
Patreon.
It's like the New Age movement. But what I do is it's
free. That's a different story. But if it's going to be charged,
right,
and there's a link in the show to go to their pay-per-view site.
But that's the world we're living in. Everybody charges for everything. But what you do is you take, like, for instance, I take information, I decipher it. I take what I believe in and I let go of what I don't. What I do know with my own abilities and with my own, from the time that I was a kid, I know that there is something going to be taking place. Things are not going to be the same. I mean, we're already seeing it. We're already seeing it with the election. Who would have thought that Trump would have won again? Okay. I mean, that no one saw that coming.
Well, it's not like Joe was giving people
no, I know,
motivation to
Kamala had all this excitement going, and people were like, "Oh yes!" And all of a sudden, it was like, boom!
Yeah,
it was like
choices.
But then you got the Elon Musk, and what's that other guy that he's competing with now? That other billionaire guy, Joe. What was his name? I mentioned to you the other day. Some billionaire guy that Trump is in cahoots with. So it's like all these things are lining up, and what Trump talked about, bringing these high school kids, and it's almost like that. What was that movie that we saw?
I just want to do a World's Fair type thing, America celebration of the 250th birthday of America. And he's going to have a competition with young people that are going to come.
He was talking about the old world and all this stuff. I mean, so something's up.
I don't know what's up.
You heard it here. Something's up. Mark my words. We're going to experience things like never before. But what do I do? Anyway, manifestation, meditation moment. We're taught to see with our eyes. Yet can we really see what is before us? What are we so afraid of that we constantly walk around as if we were blind to the truth, blind to who we are and what we are capable of?
Today we'll manifest sight, the sight that we were stripped of when our DNA was disconnected. Today will be the day when the veil is removed, and we will see clearly all intentions, all hidden facts will be revealed.
Close your eyes as you place your intention on your pineal gland, the true sight center. I want you to roll your eyes while your eyes remain closed up to your head. I want you to visualize a lavender light, a healing light that will reconnect you to your true sight. While you visualize this lavender light, I want you to touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Press in and take a deep breath.
You will give the command on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I can now see my sight has returned. I can see in the dark. I can see all things. I will no longer be blind. From this moment on, my third eye is functional, just as it has been throughout time.
Breathe, breathe. Take 3 deep breaths and exhale while saying, sight is good. All is as it should be, and so it is. I wrote this back when we lived in, was it 702? I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing manifestation
In Mexico.
in Mexico. But interesting enough that I didn't even realize we are taught to see with our eyes, that what are we afraid of? And I think a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, are afraid of change, are afraid of their narrative, Jesus, Yahweh, the things that you've all been taught. You're afraid you're going to lose that, and you're afraid of really finding out the truth. Although you know that the truth is not in the Bible. Many want to believe that because it's comforting. It's like eating comfort food. But the time for change is here, and it's now.
It's funny, though, when you say comfort food, we think about the African American community and how their soul food actually was the sloppy seconds that the masters of these massive slave plantations fed their captive slaves, and that they literally made that into their comfort food. So, like, Christianity is comfort food for Americans. It's like the slave plantation owners, they gave you Christianity to make you feel like, you were getting something of value that was good, that was something that held truth. And when in reality, it was bad for you. When in reality, it didn't really nourish your full human potential.
Nor does Christianity, because it teaches
That's
you to be dependent. And so I believe that these species out of this world are coming to free us from this. And it's hard to digest. It's hard to take in because it's different. It's out of this world. It's not something that we're used to. But I believe, that we're going to awaken, and our eyes will be open. And some people will go kicking and screaming, and they just won't, they'll see it right in front of them. Oh no, that's false flag. That's not real. It's going to come a time when you can't continue to deny it. This is going to be in your face. It's been said that within the next few weeks, we're going to see not just orbs and drones, but motherships in the sky. It's going to be kind of hard to explain away, but we'll see. Definitely see. And we're going to end it with a movie review. We saw Kraven the Hunter.
We did. We were waiting for that one. It was really good preview. The typical Marvel type movie where you have a villain and a hero, and this time the hero is a guy who's pretty violent.
Yeah, but he was trying to get rid of the bad guys.
Yeah.
His father was very abusive, and very headstrong, trying to make men out of them and wanting, I guess, for them to take over the business.
The bad drug business.
Yeah, the bad drug business. And they also, I think, like hunted animals, and there was these people that were just like cutting the tusks of the elephants, or it's just like really horrible things. And Craven almost died as a teen, young boy, and there was
he connected with the lion initially, and
the lion didn't kill
the
him.
lion wasn't going to. There was a scene where they looked eye to eye, and the lion recognized Craven was different,
Mm-hmm.
and the dad ended up shooting
The lion.
the lion.
He
And the lion charged Craven at that point, and mauled him, took him, and this woman, that was this teenager, she had like some kind of a concoction of some sort from
Potion from a grandmother.
Grandmother was like a witch doctor or something,
Yeah,
and gave it to him
to drink.
to drink, and he became connected.
And the lion's blood went into his wound.
It did.
Into his wound, and between the potion and the lion's blood, something happened to him.
His DNA
changed.
changed.
Yeah, our DNA.
Yeah.
Something that most people don't understand, which is going to be altered with the shift of the planet and things that are going to take place.
I heard it didn't do that well, the movie.
I didn't. That's good.
That it didn't pull in a whole lot last weekend. But I guess it's a spin-off from Spider-Man.
Because it got.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought it was pretty action packed. I liked his character. I like what he stood for. It had a twist in the end. The brother was like really nerdy, and he was a musician. And the father thought that he was kind of like a pansy, and Craven always got all the attention of being the more macho. And at the end, there was a twist where the character.
We'll see a part 2.
Yeah,
probably
part 2 from it. The character,
if it does better.
But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend it. I think you guys would enjoy it.
I mean, it's a good action movie.
Oh yeah, it's Marvel. I love any type of Marvel movies. Definitely. And then, last but not least, Moana 2. Moana 2. We watched the first one.
It was like way back in 2016.
Then they didn't make the second one till now. But you connected with it a lot because of
I did, because
the
of
tribal,
the indigenous tribal island. It's like a muscle memory of some sort that I can connect with, and thinking that there's something that I can really look back to or something. Like there was familiarity to what they were doing.
Yeah.
How they lived and stuff.
Very strong-headed girl.
She was a wayfinder.
And very.
Had the
warrior.
cutest little sister.
Oh yeah. It's a cute movie.
Yeah. It's amazing how far Disney has come with capturing human faces and stuff. Like back in 95, I think, when Toy Story first came out, it was difficult for them to really animate a human. So they did, we've seen cartoons for years, right?
Yeah.
But capturing a human was difficult, and they've come a long way.
And the little girl's facial expression was so cute. If you have kids, definitely you will enjoy it. I mean, we like to watch animation.
Variety.
Yeah. But
we have another. I don't think it's full animation. It's part animation.
Sonic.
Sonic.
Tomorrow, Sonic. Jim Carrey's in that one. Talking about Jim Carrey, we watched The Truman Show. I had never watched it.
You never saw it?
No, never did. So it was pretty interesting. It kind of like goes with the theme that the awakening that many people are experiencing nowadays, you know. But, you know.
It was almost like I was saying, it was like a tamer version of A Day Lived.
Yeah.
You know, where he comes to realize that the things that he thought were real were fake, and everything's scripted, and
Yeah.
you know, everybody's playing a role.
Which is pretty much what we're seeing now.
You don't know it, but you're a cast member.
Yeah.
Playing a role.
Playing a role. Everyone, there's no bad, there's no
Everyone
good.
signed up.
Things are because they are, and everyone has a place in that orchestra we call life, and the production, you know, that will unfold in ways that you never thought possible. It's exciting times. I have no fear. I don't fear anything. I think that, you know, it's like when you go watch a movie and it seems real and you feel it, and or when you're having a dream. But it's all going to turn out for the best. It's part of our growth. It's part of our growing pains that we signed up for. You know, it's crazy what we call life. But that is all we've got for today.
We jumped around quite a bit.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I didn't want to make the entire show
The Menendez.
the Menendez thing. So, you know, put a little bit of, I thought it was pretty, that little weave.
Yeah, I
You
did the
know,
weave.
the weave with
Thanks,
the
Donald.
Menendez, and then I figured let's put the generation and the detransitioners in that boat. I mean, I truly believe that they need help. You know, they do. I mean, because they're hurting and they can't seem to find their identity. And, you know, victim identity right now, Christian identity,
Yeah.
you know, they'll eventually outgrow that one and
Sure.
hopefully find their peace, you know.
They're young, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so they're, you know, it's like this is the new transition.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the new,
We did transition.
yeah,
Now we're doing detransition. But now we are under like the lights.
yeah,
You know, we were under the lights with transition.
yeah.
Now we're under the lights.
That's what
And
they're
we got
doing.
attention.
Yeah.
Again.
And that's what they're doing, you know. And it's like, and then they look at the possibility of making money,
Of course.
which is, you know,
Which is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it can make a lot of money on these honorarium fees for speaking
Yeah.
to a group of youth or something, or going to speak at a congressional hearing.
mhm.
I mean, these people have very deep pockets.
But you know, all we could do is send them love, hope they heal, hope they stop being so bitter. Because you see it, there's just this bitterness in their hearts, and they're angry, and you know, they just need to heal. They need to stop blaming, and they need to heal. And hopefully, they get to do that. But
That's all for
that's
today.
all for today, and we will catch you guys next week, and we'll see what topic we
Yeah.
dabble in.
I'm
And
sure it'll be good.
yeah, all right, guys, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Have a good one. I have to figure out this thing here. Okay, now the production is take down the thing, fold it up. It's like, oh, yeah. More productions. Okay, let me figure this out. Okay, so I can put whatever I want.